Once, before the stars had names, and before the moon had learned to glow, there was only darkness. But in that darkness something stirred. A whisper in the void, a thought without sound. And from that thought came the first being, the first creator. Her name was forgotten long ago, but we will call her Elara. She was the first to imagine, the first to shape the emptiness into something more. Elara opened her eyes, though there was no light to see by, and she felt the weight of the endless dark. It pressed against her, heavy and silent. But in her heart, she knew there could be more. She reached out with her hands, though she had no body, and she pulled the darkness apart like a curtain. From nothing, she made a spark, a tiny, trembling light. It was the first thing that had ever been. The spark grew, flickering like a heartbeat, and Elara smiled. She cupped it in her hands and whispered to it, and the spark became a flame. The flame became a fire. The fire became the sun. She placed it high above her, and for the first time, the darkness had a rival. Light stretched across the emptiness, and Elara saw what she had done. It was beautiful, but she was not satisfied. The light was alone, and the darkness was vast. So she took pieces of the sun's fire and scattered them across the sky. Each spark became a star, and soon the heavens were filled with their glow. Elara laughed as she worked, her voice echoing in the new-made cosmos. She shaped worlds from dust and breathed life into them. She filled the oceans with waves and the land with mountains. She made creatures that danced and sang, and for a time she was happy. But then others came. From the edges of creation they appeared, beings like Elara, but younger. They had been born from her thoughts, from the echoes of her will. They saw what she had made, and they wanted to shape it too. At first Elara welcomed them. She showed them how to weave rivers and carve valleys. She taught them the song of the wind and the language of the trees. But the others were not content to follow. They had their own dreams, their own visions. They changed the worlds Elara had made. They twisted the creatures she had loved. Where she had made gentle beasts, they made hunters. Where she had placed peace, they carved battlefields. Elara watched as her creation grew wild, unfamiliar. She asked the others to stop, to remember the beauty of the first days. But they laughed. "Why should we listen to you?" they said. "The worlds belong to all of us now." Her heart ached. She had been the first, but she was no longer the only one. And so, she did something she had never done before. She took back what was hers. With a sweep of her hand, she unmade one of their twisted worlds, returning it to dust. The others turned on her in fury. "You have no right," they cried. "You are no greater than us." But Elara knew she was different. She had been the first. She had known the silence before light. She had loved her creations like a mother loves her children. And now they had turned against her. The others cast her out. They banished her from the heavens she had built, from the stars she had named. They told her she could no longer shape the worlds, no longer walk among them. Elara looked at them with sorrow, but she did not fight. She turned away and stepped into the emptiness beyond creation. For a long time, she wandered the void, alone once more. The others forgot her. They built new worlds, new stories, and her name faded from memory. But Elara did not fade. She watched from the shadows, from the spaces between stars. Sometimes she would touch a dream or whisper to a lonely wind. She was no longer the queen of creation, but she was still its first breath, its first hope. And though the others had cast her out, the universe never truly forgot her. In the quietest moments, when the night is deepest and the stars seem to tremble, you might feel her presence. The first creator. The first outcast. Still waiting, still loving, still dreaming of the light she once made. And that is where her story lives, not in the great tales of gods and kings, but in the quiet, in the dark. in the spaces between what is and what could.